Hi guys, my name is Jamarli and today I want to give you a brief tutorial on how to do the recently found Saveskip and Deathwarp that we have. So we found this trick like not even a week ago, and it's really quite amazing because it allows us to not have to use quick save quick load for every cutscene that we want to skip, and it can do much more because it teleports you to the default position of the map. So basically every map in this game has a default starting position, which you can use for debugs, for example, and it teleports you to this specific position. I'm going to get into the specifics why and how in just a second. Basically, these Saveskip and Deathwarp can be used in conjunction. In some segments, for example, it's better to use a Deathwarp, and others it's better to use a Saveskip. It really depends on the situation. Basically, how this works is quite interesting, and this has quite a lot of nuances to it. But the game sort of presumes that you're still in a cutscene state, and when you save during a cutscene state, which you usually cannot do, as I can just, demonstrate here. If I just go into a regular cutscene state and try to save, it says not available in this state. That is probably because the dude isn't spawned in, so we basically make sure that we force the game to save during the cutscene, and that is going to create some weird effects that we get from this, because the game doesn't really have a state of the dude that it can associate with the save file, and if it doesn't have that, it just kind of brute forces you into the game. At least that's how I presume this whole thing works. It's very much not well understood how and why this even works, but we just know that it does. So now, let's go over the Saveskip first before we do the Deathwarp. So Saveskip basically allows you to skip the cutscene by carrying over the momentum of a jump, for example, or by carrying over any sort of action that would immediately trigger a cutscene after the save. So like for example in this we're just gonna run towards the paycheck, jump and mid-air quick save while we are jumping towards this paycheck. And we basically hit it right after we save. So let's do that. Like so. Now we quit to the menu. It's important that you quit to the menu because otherwise you can't load. From the menu we are going to load this specific save. It is important and very imperative that we hit escape once during the loading here, because that is immediately going to open up a scuffed version of the menu, but time itself is going to still elapse in the background. I don't know if this is an oversight in the development or something, but usually if you hit escape, the game pauses for a second. But if you hit escape during this load, the game doesn't pause in the background, it just keeps on running. And we are, thanks to this scuffed menu, able to save in this state. Now, we have to menu basically, so we have to, as soon as this menu comes up, we have to navigate this menu blindly with the arrow keys, for example. You can also do that with a mouse, although it's much more complex. And we have to navigate to save game. And then we have to wait. We have to wait until the cutscene starts before we save. If we just save before that, nothing is going to happen. We're going to load the save, and we're always going to get the objective check screen before the cutscene starts then. So that isn't going to get us far. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to load in, hit escape once, navigate through the menu that is totally scuffed to save game, and now we are in this specific menu, which is really beneficial because here we can save. So we just did a save during a cutscene. The game doesn't know what to do now, because if we load this save, it just brute forces us into the game, and I mean literally brute force. We don't have hands, we don't have matches, we don't have any items anymore in our inventory, we can't kick, we can't unzip our pants, and we are spawned at the default position of the map. The beneficial thing about this is we can still interact with triggers, which is really good because we can still, exit levels, for example. We can still get arrested and everything. We can still take damage. But as you can see, we don't have any guns or anything. If we pick up a gun, it actually becomes apparent that we only have the gun we just recently picked up. Now, the other funny thing about this is, the game still presumes we're in the cutscene, and we can show this quite interestingly, because, well, there we are. that is us.
Get down if you don't want to die.
So yeah, that is the save skip. Again, it has the downside that we lose every item. So for example, here we don't have the paycheck anymore. But it can be used to great effects here. Now, let's go over the Deathwarp, which works in a similar way. We use, again, use the fact that the menu opens up and doesn't pause the game and time elapses in the background still. And we do the exact same thing like we did before. We are just going to need some grenades for this. So we are going to kill ourselves with these grenades, which is the easiest way, but any way to kill yourself, like burning yourself, dynamite, rocket launchers, everything works. We pull the grenade, we quick save, we go to this specific menu. You can't just quick load, that doesn't work. You have to go to load game, load the quick save, hit escape once during the load screen, navigate the menu blindly to this menu, and now we can save the game. Let's just save it right there. If we now hit space, we are again in this weird cutscene state. Like, because the game sort of presumes that we are in a cutscene if we do this. We can again still pick up money and everything, and there's our dead corpse bleeding out on the ground. For some reason we have the texture of a week in paradise. I don't know why it does that. Why it doesn't just display the normal texture. As said, this is very much not understood why this happens. But now, this is something I can actually show you. We can now basically run around the map without triggering any cutscenes. So, like for example, if we were now to walk into the compound with Dave and there's like this huge cutscene at the start, we can just walk through that, it doesn't trigger that because, again, it still has some sort of scene manager active, so it presumes that we still have a cutscene active. Now I could show you if we pick up the gun, for example, we only have that gun and nothing else. Also can unzip our pants, obviously. And now we can, for example, just pick up this paycheck, and again, since we are still in the cutscene, no cutscene is being played.
I just started yesterday.
Which is super interesting, but also really, really useful. And again, if we just exit the level through, for example, the trigger up there, let's just walk there. Might take a while, but yeah. Then we can just interact with the triggers and it's just going to spawn us in a normal state. We also lose the map and we also lose the stat screen, for example. Like, we lose everything, which is just a testament to how broken this makes the game in itself. But yeah, it's really, really useful to skip cutscenes this way because this Deathwarp is really fast to set up. It's really easy to set up. And as you can see, we can just normally leave the level. And if we come back here, we actually have the default asset icon in the top right corner, which is just kind of a fail-safe. Because we don't actually have an item there, but we can just, you know, hit 5 and we have our normal item spec. We can P again, like so. We can kick, everything is back to normal. So yeah. That was the tutorial. If you have any questions regarding how this specifically works, just comment down below, and thanks for watching.